Today, we are digging into the latest numbers from defense tech leader Leonardo DRS. What made 2025 such a monster year for them? And more importantly, what does it tell us about where the future of defense is headed? Let's jump right in.
So, let's start with a number that just makes you stop and stare. By the end of 2025, DRS had a massive $8.7 billion backlog. Now, that's not just a figure on a spreadsheet. Think of it as a giant pipeline of work they've already secured. It gives them this incredible stability and a really clear roadmap for what's coming.
And it's not just about promises for the future, either. They delivered big time. The company posted a robust 13% organic revenue growth for the year. And you know what? That's the second year in a row of double-digit growth. We're talking about some serious momentum here.
So you put those two numbers together and the picture becomes crystal clear. 2025 was a massive, record-breaking year for DRS. Let's dig a little deeper.
Okay, so here's the real kicker. It wasn't just a good year by their own standards. Leonardo DRS actually blew past what the market was expecting. And for anyone watching this space, you know that beating expectations on both revenue and earnings, that's a huge signal that they are executing really, really well.
All right, now take a look at these numbers, because this is where the story gets really good. That 13% revenue growth? Yeah, that's impressive on its own. But look down at the bottom line. A 24% jump in adjusted diluted earnings per share. So what does that tell you? It shows DRS isn't just getting bigger, it's getting more efficient and more profitable. And that, my friends, is a powerful, powerful combination.
Right. A performance like that doesn't just happen by accident. So you have to ask, what was the engine driving all this growth? Let's pop the hood and take a look.
And here is your answer laid out perfectly. This success wasn't riding on just one hit product. No, it was broad-based. We're seeing strong demand across all their major areas. Their naval electric power and propulsion, their advanced sensing tech, and this one's huge right now, their force protection systems, especially that counter-UAS or anti-drone technology.
Let's get specific for a second. Take the Columbia-class submarine program. This thing is the cornerstone of the nation's sea-based nuclear deterrent. It is a huge deal. So when the report says exceptional execution, that's not just corporate speak. It translates directly to better profits and, frankly, to keeping the country safe. This is a massive driver for them.
And then there's this, counter-drone systems. You see it in the news every day. These low-cost drones are completely changing the modern battlefield. So naturally, there's what the source calls immense global demand for stuff that can stop them. DRS is a leader here, and their tactical radars and air defense products are right in the sweet spot to meet that need.
Okay, but it wasn't all just smooth sailing. I mean, every company runs into problems, right? The real test, what separates the good from the great, is how they handle them. So let's look at the headwinds DRS faced and the really smart plays they made to navigate through.
This slide right here tells a fascinating story of just how agile their management is. On one side, you've got the headaches, supply chain shortages of a critical material, germanium, plus they took a $67 million hit by finally closing out an old legacy program that just wasn't working. But then, look at the other side. They locked down their supply chain by securing long-term agreements. And then, in this absolutely brilliant move, they licensed some of their advanced laser IP to a quantum computing company. That deal alone brought in $73 million. So they didn't just solve their problems, they actually came out ahead. And you know, the new CEO, John Baylouny, he put it perfectly. He said that by closing out that old program and making that incredible IP deal, they cleared the slate. This wasn't just about plugging a hole for the quarter. This was about setting themselves up for a cleaner, more focused future.
All right, so a company's past performance is one thing, but what about the future? Well, a big part of that story is where they're putting their money. And DRS is placing some big bets on the technologies that are going to define tomorrow's battle space. So, what's the game plan? Let's break it down. First, they cranked up their internal R&D spending by over 40%. Second, they boosted their capital expenditures, that's money for new factories and equipment, by more than 60%. And third, and this is key, they're aiming all that investment at the really high-growth frontiers of defense. We're talking space, AI, and unmanned systems.
Okay, here is a fantastic example of this forward-thinking stuff. The CEO keeps talking about a common chassis concept for their naval systems. Now think about it like the car industry, right? Where a company will build a bunch of different cars, an SUV, a sedan, all on the same basic platform. Well, DRS is doing the same thing for warships. They're creating a modular electric power system that can be scaled up for a giant warship or scaled down for a small unmanned boat. So why is this a game changer for the Navy? Well, it means they can develop ships faster, it cuts costs because of standardization, and it makes upgrades way, way easier. It's just a brilliant strategy for building a more adaptable and affordable fleet.
And check this out, these investments are already paying off. We're not talking about some far-off future. They just landed a huge win to put their infrared sensors on the Space Development Agency's new missile tracking satellites. They also successfully demoed some super secure radio tech for space. And they're ramping up production for sensors that go on advanced jets and drones. These are real, tangible wins happening right now.
So, after a record-smashing year and all these big investments in the future, what's next? Let's take a look at the company's official forecast for 2026.
So looking ahead, the company is guiding for another year of really solid sustainable growth. They're projecting revenue to climb another 6 to 8%, and they see both their EBITDA and earnings per share going up too. Now, after 2 straight years of that explosive double-digit growth, this kind of signals a shift to a more mature, but still very, very healthy pace of expansion.
And that really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? When you pull it all together, you've got the record backlog that shows this incredible demand, you've got the smarts they showed navigating some serious challenges, and then you have these massive targeted investments in space, in naval power, in unmanned tech. You have to ask, are we watching a company that is literally building the future of defense right before our eyes? Because based on everything we've just seen, they're making one heck of a strong case.